Welcome to the Family Plan, the podcast where benefits, policy, and family all come together. I'm David Arbite.
I'm Ilana Arbite. We're siblings, insurance brokers, and your hosts for this journey into the world of employee benefits plans, workplace policy, and everything in between.
Whether you're a business owner, an HR professional, or just someone trying to make sense of your healthcare or workplace benefits options, we're here to help decode the insurance speak and break it down into plain English.
So, today, in our very first episode, we're diving into something huge. The recently signed One Big Beautiful Bill, yes, that is what it's called, and what it means for both employers and employees.
From expanded HSA flexibility to new mandates around family leave, wellness programs, this bill is already shaking up the world of benefits. We'll break it down, talk implications, and share what you need to know whether you're running a team or part of one.
So grab your coffee, maybe your favorite highlighter, and let's dig in. This is The Family Plan, Episode 1, One Big Beautiful Bill. So I am really excited about our first guest today. I feel like we have a rock star in our midst.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, probably not a phrase that we use often in our line of work, but on today's episode, we are joined by our wonderful colleague and friend who is a thought leader in the areas of employee benefits and compliance, David Mordo, principal of D. Mordo Consulting LLC, which is a compliance consulting firm. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It is very, very nice to see both of you. I am appreciative of the invite and thank you for having me.
I guess let's all just dive right in. Dave, kick us off. Tell us, what is the One Big Beautiful Bill, or OBBB? What are its primary goals? What's its status?
So, this one big, beautiful bill was something that the administration wanted to push through quickly, and they did. Congress passed it through the House and the Senate, and the president signed it into law actually on January 4th,
July 4th.
July 4th of 2025. And basically, there are a lot of things as it pertains to employee benefits and individual health insurance that are in this bill. There are a lot of things that we had hoped would be in this bill but did not make the final cut. There are things in the bill that are near and dear to many of our clients, both group and individual. And look, for me personally, there are two or three items that are of note, specifically something.
Let's just
Yeah,
be clear for our listeners. We're not going to cover the entire bill. We're not even going to cover everything that pertains to benefits and insurance today because there's just too much. We're talking about some of the highlights and the things that we think are the most important for you.
yeah, good point. It's way too much, and no one wants to listen to me for that long. So, yeah, some of the real highlights are number one, what we are familiarly called the employer exclusion. So, the employer's contribution to their employees' premium has always enjoyed a tax benefit for the employer and for the employee. While there was talk about capping it or eliminating this exclusion, the good news is that it is remaining untouched, that employers going forward for the time being will still enjoy the same tax advantages of contributing to their employees' premium contribution, and employees will also get a tax benefit that that contribution made by the employer will not be deemed as income. So that's a huge win for
Huge.
both employer and employee.
Yeah, especially in organizations where the benefits are such a huge part of the compensation package. If employers wouldn't have needed to cut back or employees were being taxed on it, I mean, that would have been catastrophic.
It would have been catastrophic. It would have been a game changer, as the saying goes. And we are all better off for the fact that this was not touched and will remain as is. The other One of the other key highlights for me and for many, obviously, is this whole notion that telehealth services, which we've enjoyed via the CARES Act that was implemented as a result of the pandemic. The CARES Act allowed telehealth services to be utilized with high deductible health plans, not subject to any deductible. It was first dollar coverage,
Yes.
even on high deductible health plans with HSAs.
Yeah,
Well, that
meaning
expired.
yeah, meaning that you could have a telehealth plan where there was a copay to see a doctor or no charge in some cases.
Correct. And that expired on December 31st of 2024. So people did no longer had that benefit. But lo and behold, this one big beautiful bill brought it back for us. And so folks that are in need of telehealth services can now take advantage of the fact that they could use it with their high deductible health plans and their HSAs. We should make note of the fact that this is not a requirement per se, that an employer does not have to offer telehealth services with their high deductible health plan, but if they do, those telehealth services will be first dollar, not subject to the satisfying a deductible, and that is huge for many, many people who find telehealth services to be a literal lifesaver, specifically in the area of mental health benefits,
Yeah.
which we all saw during the pandemic, uh, brought to the forefront as to accessibility and the need for more people and more providers to be out there delivering telehealth services to their patients.
Yeah, and it was highlighted during the pandemic because a lot of people, I think, felt freer to maybe speak about the issues. But I know this is something that I hear from my clients all the time. I hear from the employees and I hear from the employers. We have a big problem with access to quality in network mental health providers. And if an employer is offering telehealth or a carrier is bringing in telehealth services and employees have this easy access, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think this touches on not just access to care, which is one of the primary issues in general, but especially in the mental health arena, but also cost of care, because this is not only access to a potentially lower cost provider relationship when it's a telehealth service, which is sometimes covered at no cost, as mentioned, or at a flat copay. Um, but it also is specifically making it the access on those lower cost plans more widely usable. So if you're looking at a high deductible health plan, which may at times be coming at a lower premium than one of the more traditional plans, this is a further way to take advantage of those, I'll call them cost savings, when really cost is really a big issue, but that's probably a whole nother episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you do raise an interesting point because also as part of the one big beautiful bill is the fact that these high deductible health plans will and HSAs will now be available to folks on the exchanges only for bronze and catastrophic plans, whereby it wasn't permitted prior to this bill. Now, a bronze plan or a catastrophic plan will have the ability to partner up with an HSA. Again, we have to reiterate, this is on the exchange only. In the marketplaces around the nation, it is not for off exchange and it is not for the group market either. So again, David, as you pointed out, access to this, we all three of us have heard stories about people denying themselves care because they could not afford it or they had this large deductible. Little things like this make a big, big difference if we're going to get healthcare under control.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually brings us perfectly to the next topic because a major trend I know that I'm seeing in with my clients and with my friends and kind of out there in the universe is the direct primary care model is becoming more and more popular. I know employers are very often taking on different uh, subscriptions, right? For their employees. So what's the impact on that side of things from this bill?
Again, it's crucial. So prior to the passage of this bill and signing it into law, you could not use HSA money, nor could you be eligible for an HSA if you were part of a direct primary care agreement with your doc. And this has been fought for a few years now, where we wanted to make direct primary care payments, the gym membership monthly fee, if you will, open to be funded by HSA money. Now that becomes a reality. Number one, which is huge. Number two, an individual can now have an health savings account or an HSA, even though they still have this direct primary care agreement. Again, it's you can't emphasize enough what this will do for access and for hopefully better outcomes in healthcare.
Yeah,
This
I
is
know.
this, this is big.
Yeah, I mean, the three of us, like you said, we see this every single day, and it's something that we are passionate about, and it's why we do what we do. And, this made me really happy. All of these provisions made me happy.
Yeah, there are limits on the DPC. It's limited to $150 per month for an individual, or $300 per month for more than one individual. But hey, a lot of these providers, that number is right in the ballpark as far as what they charge.
Yeah, in our view, we're usually seeing that monthly fee somewhere between $49 to $200 per month, and so just another expansion of ways that individuals can take the most out of their healthcare or their HSA, and employers can expand their benefit packages to their
Yeah,
staff.
and let's be honest, it's going to be up to the three of us with our clients to inform and educate employees and employers how to best utilize these things that are in the bill. Um, I know that we talked a little bit about the dependent care
Yeah.
aspect.
So this one actually, I don't know why it shocked me, but it shocked me. So for anyone who doesn't know, there's a flexible spending account called a dependent care account where you can contribute money, an employee can contribute money on an annual basis to pay for their dependent care expenses, so daycares or certain types of babysitters, on a pre-tax basis. Now, this was introduced in 1986, and they set a limit. What was that limit in 1986?
It was $5,000 if memory serves.
Yes, and I don't know if somebody could tell me what was the limit in 2024.
Five
Was
thousand
it
dollars.
Yeah,
$5,000? Yes.
yeah. So yeah, that one was interesting to me because every year the regular flexible spending increases, and this one's been the same for 40 years.
And what do they see fit to do? They not only raise it, but they raise it to 7,500. That is quite a bump. It's certainly well above the rate of inflation, but think about what the benefit of this. I mean, daycare is not cheap for many families around the nation. If the employer is generous enough to allow this, what they call a decap benefit in their employee benefit package, you now have members of families that can contribute up to 7,500
Yeah.
with the tax
If we're
benefit.
That was exactly what I was going to say. It's $2,500 more of, I'll call it tax-free income in a way, where you are no longer being taxed on that $2,500 increase. So $7,500, the take-home pay ramifications are greatly increased. So again, as it relates to this bill, this is an improvement that we're highly in favor of. Anything that puts dollars back in employees' paychecks. That's something that we're in favor of.
If you think about one of the happy consequences of it, I mean, it does a world of good for employee morale to know that this benefit has increased to 7,500. Not only alleviates any monetary concerns that an employee had, but now they can, you know, rest a little bit more comfortably, and it does, their work productivity goes up, their morale goes up. It's a win-win for the employee and obviously for the employer, who gets more productivity out of a happy employee.
Yeah, think about how many employees are working to cover these kinds of expenses, and being able to receive it on a pre-tax basis, really, it does make a difference. We've all seen those calculators for the flexible spending accounts, and if you put in this much, you're saving this much, and you know, all of that. So,
Yeah, it's key. It's key. It's another welcome change as part of this one big beautiful bill.
yeah.
So there are a couple of other, I'll call them tax-free type of benefits that have been either introduced or expanded with this bill. And one of those is the creation of the Trump accounts. The other is the access for student loan repayments. Uh, David, would you mind talking about those and how we can hopefully help our employers or our employees of them take advantage?
Yeah, you know, the student loan repayment has been a very popular benefit over the last maybe 3, 4 years. I mean, with the younger generation coming into the workforce, um, they're coming in with debt. And an intelligent employer could possibly provide this benefit and, you know, have, I believe it's $5,250 annually towards, kids in their 20s and 30s. I call them kids because I'm not one. But to have this benefit, again, think about what it does for morale. But now an employer has the student loan program giving giving these newer employees this benefit. How can you go wrong?
Yeah,
Listen, oh, sorry, David.
I was going to ask you, maybe it's the same thing you were thinking. I know that you just took a fair amount of time doing an extensive study on employee benefits, and I imagine that, some of your findings would probably speak pretty specifically to these types of
Yeah.
policies.
Yeah, thank you. That was one of the things that came up a lot that people were looking for. People are looking for support in terms of childcare and adult care, because we have a lot of people in that sandwich generation now where they're taking care of children and older parents or family members. And so that was one thing that came up. And student loans, I can tell you, I went to a city university, so I don't have any student loans, but I have friends in their 40s and 50s who are still paying off from either university or from if they went for a master's or some other type of higher degree. They're still paying them off. And can you imagine if you went into a job where your employer said, "Hey, we're so happy to have you, and by the way, we're going to pay off $5,250 of your student loan annually every time, as long as you work here." Wow.
It's an excellent way to recruit and retain talented new employees into the workforce. And that's what these young folks coming into the workforce are looking for. They look for very uh, unusual benefits that, back in my day, we didn't even, it wasn't even a concern. The Trump accounts, well, I read a little bit about it. Is this the account where uh, they contribute $1,000
Yes.
at the outset of your life to a savings account?
Yeah, so This is an interesting one because it's got a bunch of different aspects happening there. Any child born between 2025 and 2028 is going to get $1,000 from our government, which, to be honest with you, like, if you've ever, been on Instagram or read an article or, where they talk about like if you start saving in your 20s, how much money you'd have. And so $1,000 at your birth is actually going to make an impact for a lot of people because it'll continue to grow. But then the Trump accounts allow for parents to contribute and then for the employer to contribute as well. So the maximum is $5,000 per child annually. The employer contribution maximum is the 2,500. Again, it's a pre-tax way to save. The child can't take the money until they're 18.
Correct.
Mm, And it's different than, some of the college savings accounts because those need to be specifically for college. This can be used for anything, really. I mean, as
Yeah.
I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's a savings account.
I was just saying it's fun. It's similar to IRAs in that it's not that you're never going to pay taxes on it. It's just deferred. And the money that you're contributing now is not being taxed on whoever's contributing it.
I was going to say I'm maybe a broken record, but any another way for employees to have tax-free or tax-deferred benefits, something that isn't going to reduce their take-home pay in a significant way, and that we're making it easier now for employers to provide those benefits, I think is extremely meaningful.
Yeah, and look, with all of this that's happening, employers now have something new on their plate as far as the responsibilities of not only educating themselves and educating their employees, because look, they still have this fiduciary responsibility. So an employer, and again, it's up to the three of us and our colleagues around the country to inform the employer as to what's next. With all of these things, what's next? Well, the three of us review the plans on a regular basis, but right off the bat, the three of us, when we speak to our clients, almost immediately have to let them know, number one, please update your employee handbook. Please update your summary, your SPD.
And if you don't know what that is, give us a call.
Yeah, yeah. The summary plan description is a vital document, and it needs to be updated. And normally it needs to be updated, but in light of these new potential benefits, that's something that employers need to really, really look at because of their fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interest of the client, of their employees.
I
So,
can't tell you, by the way, how many times I've seen employers update their handbooks, but not check the SPD or the carrier contract. Those three documents need to agree with each other, um, or it's problematic in so many ways. So
and,
please make sure.
and you just raised a very good point in the fact that a lot of these changes will also require either you and I and David or the employer themselves to check with the carriers to see what can be implemented.
Hmm.
For instance, the telehealth, will they go retro to January 1 of 2025? We'd like that, but it's up to the carrier for a
Up to the
fully insured
carrier.
product.
Yep.
So again, we have the responsibility to make the employer very, very aware of what they need to do with this one big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of good in here.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of things that didn't make it into the bill, most notably, quite honestly, the fact that Medicare beneficiaries still cannot contribute or utilize the benefits of a health savings account. That didn't make it in. That to me doesn't make any sense, but it didn't make it in, as well as the fact that the name ICRA still exists. It was going to be renamed something else like the Choice Plan, but that didn't, that wasn't a popular name, so ICRA still exists.
All right.
The Affordable Care Act still exists. No
It
changes were
does.
made to the Affordable Care Act and its regulations.
That's correct. That is correct. So
Wow.
there's your one
Well,
big beautiful bill.
thank you so, so much, really. This, of course, may lead to plenty of questions. We're all, this is what we do on a daily basis. Looking forward to bringing you all more information as it's necessary. But thank you again to David Mordo, principal of D. Mordo Consulting LLC, and hope to speak to you all very soon.
Thanks for having me.